Welcome, my name is Bassman and in this video I'm going to tell you my impressions about the Canon 6D Mark II and about moving from the Canon 700D, which I'm shooting with right now. I'm making this video because of all the hate that this camera got. Most of the reviews that I've seen and read were so negative about this camera, so I thought I'm going to get the worst camera in the world, but then I got it and I didn't regret. So the first thing I noticed, which is general actually, was the full frame sensor, which is absolutely amazing. If you're a photographer and you are doing that as a job, then I really think it's worth to get a full frame camera. You will see a huge difference in depth of field, real zoom ranges, and probably a better quality. And talking about quality, the Canon 6D Mark II has a great quality with 26 megapixels. I'm using it for portraits and everything, and it gets these shots really sharp with my Nifty 50, which is a cheap lens. Though in my Canon 700D, the Nifty 50 keep missing focus in some shots. I also have the Canon 75-300 version 3 with no stabilization. It's trash, but it performs well with the Canon 6D Mark II and even with the 700D, but you will need a tripod. The buttons of the Canon 6D Mark II are way softer and more responding than the 700D. The most thing that people love about the 6D Mark II is the flip out screen. It's touch, it's fully articulated, but for me I was like, okay. If you have an 80D or a 700D or something like that, then the screen won't blow your mind. It's amazing and it's useful, but it's not something new unless you have a different kind of screens. The Digic 7 processor works well, it's fast, and I didn't have any loading situation. Talking about fast, the 6.5 frames per second are fantastic and so enough for me. There is also the silent mode, which is not exactly silent, but it's fine, I like it. The ISO performance is fantastic, especially if you have a crop sensor camera, then it will be a huge difference for you. You will start to see some noise when you reach 6400, but you won't notice unless you zoom a lot. Here are some examples of different ISO. The dynamic range problem, which is at 100 ISO, I actually didn't have a problem with that, but I did test a photo, raised it to about 3 stops, and everything was just fine. So if your photos need more than 3 or 4 stops, then I think you have a problem with manual shooting, or you're just Brandon Wolf. The color depth and colors are also a big difference between the 700D and the 6D Mark II. In the 700D I have to raise the saturation a lot to get nice colors, while on the 6D Mark II the colors are usually perfect, also the skin tone. Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth and NFC. Okay, so I don't use the NFC nor the Bluetooth only because it's limited without enabling the Wi-Fi, not the GPS either because I don't care about location and it reduces battery. But the Wi-Fi is incredible, easy to connect, and you can control everything with it. You can get your photos and videos directly. Life is hard without it. The HDR mode and the bulb mode. The HDR is a really nice feature, though you can do it by merging photos in Photoshop, but having it in camera is great. The bulb mode will allow you to take photos with shutter speed slower than 30 seconds with just a simple touch on the screen and it will stop and you have the photo. Moving to videos, it shoots Full HD at 1080p IPB, which is not the best. The highest frame rates is 60 frames per second. Also you have the 24 and the 30. No 4K, but for me I don't care. I like the other specs are more important for me. Also, you have a digital stabilization, though it's digital and you can add it in the editing, but still I find it useful. But by turning it on, the video will be cropped, so that's bad. The dual pixel autofocus. Okay, let me now change the camera so you can see it by yourself. So this is pretty much the real 50. It's wide. Yeah, so I was struggling with 700D a lot since the beginning of the video. Okay, so now wherever I move, the camera will track me. So as you can see, and as they say, it's probably the best focusing system. Including to tracking, there are also the smooth focus and the live 1.AF. In live 1.AF you can change the speed of focusing, so this can be really useful to create something. One of the most important reasons for me to get the 6D Mark II is the time-lapse function. I love making time-lapses and hyperlapses. I make a lot with my phone, but with the camera there will be improvement, of course. You can record time-lapse with 4K or Full HD All-I codec. You can set the number of shots, the period between each one of them, and the camera will do everything and you will have the time-lapse directly. Finally, some disadvantages of the Canon 6D Mark II. Yes, the one cord slot and the lack of headphone jack, that is bad, but I mean that's it. The focusing points, yes, they are more into the middle of the frame, but I'm used to recompose with the 700D, so for me it's not a deal breaker. The fastest shutter speed is 1/4000. Again, for me it's not a deal breaker. I think that number is a lot, and yeah, so that's it. I hope the video will be helpful for you. Thanks for watching. See ya.